Well, hello everybody. How you doing? Dave Fennoy here. Another Wednesday, another Ask Dave Fennoy Anything, and here we are. It's June already. How did that happen? We just sailed on through really quickly through this half of the year. I wish last year had gone by as quickly, but no, we were all locked in our houses. Uh, just a couple of housekeeping. These Ask Dave Fennoy Anythings live on YouTube after the fact, and you can find them at Dave Fennoy VoiceOver Training. If you are someone who is interested in private lessons with me or being updated about Ask Dave Fennoy Anything, or want to know when I'm giving a real deal or teaching someplace, stop by my website, davefennoy.com. And if you have, in the last couple of days, I was having a website issue. You have to have your websites certified, and you have to pay for that every year or every 5 years or every 10 years, so that people can't use your website to steal money. And apparently my certification had expired, and for a couple of days, why am I getting these notes? And I have somebody else handling my stuff, and I'm not always going to my website. So, but it's all handled now. If you're somebody who went there and you saw the message, be careful. This might be a site pretending to be davefennoy.com. All things are fixed now. So, and for your own websites, just be aware. All right, coming up over the next few weeks on Ask Dave Fennoy Anything, we've got some wonderful people. Orange County's Ann Ganguza, who makes her living. She does some commercials and whatnot, but she makes a living doing narration for corporations. The following week, the 16th, Melissa Moats, who has a school, a shop, a studio called the Voice Actors Studio in Las Vegas. And she's just a wonderful person. She and her husband put this thing together. You hear her on dozens and dozens of commercials, and she's helping lots and lots of people out. We'll be talking with her. Cliff Zellman will be on the 23rd. Cliff, all things automotive. Have you ever heard a car commercial? Yeah. And then there's those places that sell parts and so forth. There's a whole lot of work in the automotive industry, and Cliff is the person who helps people find that work, find their voices, find and do their demos for automotive. And wrapping up the month on June 30th, Karen Gilfrey, who is going to talk about things that I am not that fond of. She is making her living using the pay-to-play sites and doing very well with it, and she's going to give us some insight on how to win at VoiceOver on the pay-to-play sites. And I know a lot of people are going to want to tune in for that. But right now, let me introduce one of my very best friends in the world, one of the most talented people in the world, Rolonda Watts. And I'm just gonna bring you on here, and there you are. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
You're looking lovely.
Thank you.
And just, I could not fit everything in your resume in the promo that I did for this. Yes, we know about the show, Rolonda. You were one of the staples of daytime television in the 90s. But before that, you were an Emmy-nominated investigative reporter in New York. You were an anchor in New York, nightly news. Well, maybe it was New Jersey, but hey, yeah, New York
New York.
adjacent.
New York.
And an announcer for Divorce Court and Judge Joe Brown. You've been on cartoons Curious George, Logo City Adventures, Madagascar, A Little Wild, Kung Fu Panda, Dragon Knight, Cannon Busters, Rugrats. Hey, I was on Rugrats. We never had any sessions together, clearly.
I know.
The Proud Family, just the list goes on. And in video games, I know you've done quite a few, but I'll just bring up League of Legends. which is one of the biggest games in the world and one of the big games in the world that I'm not on. So
There's one.
I have a reason to be jealous of you now. Anyway, and so those who are watching and listening, get your questions ready, get them typed in if you'd like to talk to Rolonda. Now, we've been friends for years, so we don't usually do this, but how did you get into voiceover? And, what were you thinking when you... Oh, I forgot one thing. You're an author. You write romance novels. When do you sleep?
I wrote one romance novel,
Okay.
and I'm actually going to be dropping that as an audiobook this summer. So
okay,
listen out for that. Destiny Lingers.
Doing your own audiobooks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get started. So, news person, television person, how did you become a voiceover person?
Well, after my talk show, I wanted to try telling stories in a different way. As a journalist and a talk show host, I had still always wanted to act, write, and produce. And so when my show was over, I decided to leave New York and come to Hollywood. And I kicked off my acting career. I was doing lots of sitcoms, from Jamie Foxx show to Steve Harvey show to Sister Sister. And then the writers went on strike. Something weird happened where I think it was the longest strike in Hollywood, and things started really slowing down after this momentum. And I was like, listen, I came out here to act. I'm going to act no matter what. And I took a course over at Kalmanson and Kalmanson about voice acting. And I fell in love with it, just fell in love with voice acting. And was very blessed to get the promo for Judge Joe Brown, which was great because at that time, there weren't a lot of women doing promos during daytime, especially for the judge shows. And so I think it was my understanding of the daytime audience, and then plus having come from news and broadcasting, that really helped give that authoritative sound. But that's what got me in. And Judge Joe, when I did the promos, I didn't know what I was doing. I just, I would listen to what they were saying. And they'd be like, Shaniqua said she was going to steal your car. And I'd go, woo, on the next Judge Joe. and that was just an accident. And they were like, we love it. Just keep that flavor. So I was the one going, woo, and wow. And,
So basically, without them having to tell you, you just had fun with it.
I just had fun with it. I just threw it away, and I was myself totally. And that's what really kicked off my career. And then, of course, getting to play Curious George, being able to play Professor Wiseman on Curious George has been a joy for almost 2 decades. And working with the greats like Charlie Adler and all the just.
Thank you.
Just
I need to get Charlie on. I
Yeah.
ran into him in a parking lot before the pandemic. It's Charlie, I'm going to get you on. Yeah, do it, Dave. Yes, yeah, that.
Yes. I love working with him. He's great. He directed me in Rugrats, as a matter of fact, and Madagascar.
Yeah. Well, he's a legend in this business, especially in animation, and also a fabulous teacher. I'm not sure he's still teaching, but early in my career, I got to meet Charlie Adler. I had just come to L.A., and I was just getting started, and there was a television show that was doing a piece on Voice Track San Francisco where I had studied. And she flew me up to be on this show, and there was Charlie Adler. And it was my worst interview ever because I had little lights in my eyes, even though I'd been on the radio for years there. And so you took some classes and you went to L.A. and it's going very well. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. No, talk.
Yeah. I worked with Charlie also on Tyler Perry's first animation, his first and only animation, Medea's Tough Love. He was on that too. I love Charlie. He's just amazing. He brings the best out of you. He's just fantastic.
He does.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So now I always ask people about their studio. So tell me about your voiceover studio.
Well, right now, my voiceover studio is a closet in my guest room. Let's see, you walk in and I've got, there's nothing in the closet but boxes in the top to absorb all the sound.
Hmm.
And then I have my cushions around.
Hmm.
I have my well, it's my sound blankets on the door because you can't forget that the door reflects also. And I have carpet in there and some of my old panels that I used to use when I did promos for Judge Joe and Divorce Court. I have those in the bottom. But basically, it's my closet. That's it.
And once again, you don't have to buy a big expensive booth.
No, you sure don't. You sure
There's
don't.
more than one way to
Yeah.
skin a cat.
Absolutely. And then
And
I have the Apogee mic, which is fantastic for diffusing any sounds around you. So if I can get away with it in a really quiet room, I may not have to be in my closet with this
ah,
microphone.
now I recall you used to have a 416. Are you still using that?
The Sennheiser, you know what? That's when I was doing my promos. No, I use my Apogee. I just bought a Rode just because I love the sound of it.
Hmm.
And I do podcasting also. But for voice work, I love my hype mic.
Yeah.
I have loved it. Yeah.
Well, I'm speaking right now through a hype mic. And speaking of that road, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I went into a studio here in town, a legendary studio. It's across from, I can't remember the name of that studio, but it's been there since way before I got here. So I've been here 30 years. So 40, 50 years the studio's been there on Magnolia.
Uh-huh.
And they had a Rode NT1 hanging in the studio. I had never seen a Rode in any studio outside of somebody's home, but they're being used now, at least in one professional studio.
Yeah,
So,
I got
so
that Rodecaster Pro because it's good for podcasting. So that's
oh
a whole
yeah,
separate kind of thing.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. So, what would you say? What's the key to your success as a voice actor?
Hmm. Um, I think a daring imagination. I think what really helps is just being imaginative with your characters, and making them multi-layered and full-bodied. I tend to use a lot of accents. Um, I think that most of my characters have a lot of heart. Um, so I think, yeah, but I think it's really your imagination, building those characters and giving them the layers that they deserve.
Let's talk about layers. How would you, you know, I since I know you are a natural talent. That's not to say you haven't studied, but you just have talent and imagination and a real belief in yourself. You are willing to try things. If they work, great. If they don't, oh, let's try something else,
Mhm.
which a lot of people are afraid of. Or, let me put it this way: how is it you learned not to be so careful?
Well, as you also know me, I think I have a daring personality anyway. In fact, in high school, I won the I Dare You award because I was willing to do just about anything.
What did they dare
Uh,
you to do that you can
well,
mention on this show?
yeah. Well, it was like when there were a lot of things. It was like, politics back then were big in the 70s for women's rights. I was very outspoken about that. If there was an injustice in the school, I was very outspoken about that. I wasn't a quiet girl. I didn't sit back in the shadows. I was very much um demonstrative with my voice, to be honest with you. My voice has always been my superpower. And whether I was anchoring the news, telling a story that way, or producing it, or writing the book, or narrating the book, or giving speeches, or being characters, um, from Alawi to Professor Wiseman to even playing pigeons, for God's sakes. I give a pigeon named
Well,
Compass layers on
well,
Curious George. But it's all, my voice has always been my superpower. But I think really, as I teach in my voice acting masterclass, is developing characters that are memorable and delicious, as I call them. Whether it's just giving them a certain flair. I use that with accents a lot, or ticks that they may have, or
mhm.
or I think a lot of it is just so well written. I mean, I think when you're really blessed when you're working with great writers on DreamWorks and League of Legends, for what writing is in video games. But
Don't start
they,
berating the writing in somebody's video.
I'm not berating the writing.
I know what you mean.
But even in that, but even in those situations, you have to bring character to the. I was doing a character for a video game the other day. And the character to me was just hilarious. I don't know why, but maybe not to anybody else. But I had the director cracking up, and he was like, "This is so interesting. I didn't take her this way, but she's great." And she was sassy, and she was like, add a lot of pre-life to stuff, and she turned out to be a really great, I think, very unique character for a video game.
And probably they're gonna write some more parts for her, because you made it such an interesting character.
Well, I hope so. But like I said, the basic of the writing was there, and to be able to break that down and make it into something that's your own really is, I think, what makes you stand out. Because, I mean, let's face it, these casting directors have seen the same lines again and again, and they heard them again and again and again. And if you come in with a different take, or, as I say, making a strong choice. It may not be the right choice, but who says what's the right choice? Because they may have a right choice, and you come in and do such a delicious take of something so unique that they say, "Oh my God, okay, I believe that."
I'm just going to kind of repeat a little bit of what you said in a slightly different way. The thing that you do is you bring all those other parts of what's in this dialogue out. So if there is a sigh that you feel is there, a laugh that is there, stumbling over some words, a biting, biting some words, just whatever you might find that brings more interest, more life, reveals this character more. You don't ask for permission to do it. You do it. And I find so many voice actors are asking me the question, well, can I sigh here? Can I laugh here? Can I stumble over this word? Can I? And yes. I tell my students now, look, what we are doing is translating the written word into the spoken word. They are not the same thing. They are so not the same thing. So now when they were happening, were you getting to go to conventions and meet fans of your voiceover work?
No, I haven't gotten to go to many conventions yet, but I tell you what, I get to do a lot of cameos.
Uh, you know what?
To do a Lowy, and the gamers are so funny. They'll have me I'll do a cameo for their opponent, telling them, "You suck. You can't play this game." I'm talking to them in the voice of a Lowy. It's so funny. Or telling kids, to do well in school, or you're very proud of them, or something like that, as Professor Wiseman. But yeah, people take these characters very seriously. Well, you go to all the conventions and things.
Well, when we used to have them.
I know, when there were conventions. Yeah.
And one of the things I always, I have a sister who's a doctor, and I would always tease her that you're doing the important work, I'm just having fun. But I think you discover sometimes when you're doing cartoons, when you're doing video games, and you're meeting fans, that you actually are touching their lives in ways you could not have imagined. And frankly, it's a little humbling.
Well, it was funny because I was on Clubhouse talking the other day, and a woman came on, and she had waited a long time to say something. And she finally came up and she said, she told this story about how her son is autistic, and that the only thing he related to on TV was Curious George. And he would talk when Curious George was on. And I thought about, when we get our scripts, Universal is very clear about, we are here to teach children about gravity or magnetism or something. And they take it very seriously in the writing and everything. And so all of that does pay off. I think that the voice is such connection for people, just for humanity, just to hear other people's voices. And the voice has such an incredible power to it. And if I can get you to go out and buy a Range Rover, or I can get you to buy a hamburger or entertain. But I had an interesting this was an interesting gig that I just had for CNN. CNN did a special on the people versus the Klan. And they talked about this woman, Beulah May Donnell,
Hmm.
whose son had been lynched back in the 80s. And they didn't have a lot of footage of her speaking, but they wanted to hear her voice. And they had me come in and embody this woman's voice. And I thought, she was such a forgiving woman, very much unlike what I would be if the KKK had lynched my child, trust and
Yes.
believe. But to bring that in and give her voice in this occasion was a unique opportunity. And that's where your imagination really had to come in and give truth to the story of who she really was as a person.
Well, let me
So,
ask you that did they
yeah.
play samples of her voice that they wanted you to mimic or just go off of as inspiration?
No, I had a very limited just to get the cadence of her voice and to hear her southern voice and just how southern she was. Um, she spoke very much, very soft like this and was very forgiving and very meek voice. Um, it was it was a voice of forgiveness. And to this day her voice haunts me.
Oh boy.
But the power of what she was saying, that talking about forgiveness of this in this horrendous situation, was how you could bring humanity and bring people together under horrendous situation just by using a woman's voice was very powerful.
Something very important. Was that Langston I saw there?
Yes, that was Langston. He's laying in my lap now.
Hi, Langston.
Hey, Langston. Langston's in my lap. He'll pop back up.
Okay. Well, let's see. I've got some comments from some people. This is very important from Michael Glover. Ooh, she is pretty. Hey, Rolonda.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, you got fans. Michael Haskins. Oh, let me move that out of your face. Hi, Miss Watts. What was it like having your own talk show, announcing on a game show? Temptation. Oh, yeah, that's it. New sale of the century and now VoiceOver.
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. Well, Temptation was I was the announcer for the game show. And you had to talk very fast, and today a new car and all that kind of stuff. That was a lot of fun.
How
I
long
enjoyed
did
that.
Temptation last?
I think Temptation ran for about a year or two, but then it went into running again and again. They had it in syndication. I don't know if it was syndication, but they were running it again and again, long after the fact, after it was running. But yeah, that was a fun thing. And that was fun because you just had to talk so fast and your energy had to be through the roof, which was like vocal gymnastics, which was a lot of fun. Having my own talk show was wonderful. We did 4 years of very good programming, I feel. And then when it was time to go, when they started throwing chairs and strippers galore and all of that, it was time to go. But in the 4 years that I did the show, it was a wonderful opportunity. And we did some really good programming that I'm very proud of. And you can watch a lot of it on YouTube now. So, yeah.
Got another comment here. Saqib Abro. Pleasure having you. Love from Pakistan. VO is born talent always or skill that can be obtained through courses. And can you share tips to avoid lisp, please?
Interesting. They used to put rocks and marbles in your mouth to stop stuttering and lisp. But something, there are people who actually can help you with that. There are people who study the pathology of your mouth who can help you with that. And I think a lot of it, and I don't have a lisp necessarily, but there are people who make a lisp work for them too. I don't know how deep your lisp is, but there are people like Viola Davis who makes a lisp work for her. Who's somebody else? Is it Barbara Walters, for God's sakes,
Barbara
made it
Walters.
work for her, the famous.
Wawa.
Yeah, does Barbara Streisand speak with a lisp? But so there's some people who have a little lisp that becomes part of them. So before you totally get rid of it, play with it a little bit. And I think being very self-aware, like my friends who used to stutter, a lot of it was just training the brain to be aware and just knowing when to hold that muscle and just being very aware. Now, I'm not a pathologist on all this kind of stuff. But I think that there are people who can help you specifically. And like I said, that could be a little part of what makes you special. Every voice is like a snowflake. There are no two alike, and there are little things that make it different. And that could be, You never know, could be your sweet spot.
And once again, I'm going to hitchhike off of what you just said to
Mhm.
the message that the thing that is unique about you, that that's your magic. That's what makes you a star. Not trying to be like, oh, this person or that person or sound like this person. There's some things you can learn with phrasing and so forth. But there is something special about everybody that's in this business. And the more you lean into who you are, the more success you're going to have. Got a comment from Susan Bernard down there in Dallas. Yolanda, name 3 or 4 of your top female influences. What is your best advice for someone who's been hitting a bump in the road, running into a few setbacks? In other words, when things are not working for you, what do you tell yourself to keep going? Well, come on,
Mhm.
Rolonda. You've never had a bump in the road.
Oh,
Things have
never.
always gone your way, haven't they?
So the people, they call me the reinventionist. And I say, I've done so many different things because oftentimes because I wanted to, but a lot of times because I had to. And I believe that, when you are looking for that next big thing or the next thing to do or looking for direction, you've got to go within. I always say if you don't go within, you go without because all of your gifts are within you. And a lot of people are just now discovering voice acting and have just opened their lives. And you see this in your students, Dave. Their lives just change.
Yeah.
They just have decided this is something they want to do, and they do it. I think action is the antidote to any despair. And you just have to plan things. You just have to sit down and take a yellow pad. You asked one of the people who influenced me. My mother was a huge influence. My aunties were huge influences. My teachers, many people, these names you don't know, were huge influences to me and for me. And Dr. Maya Angelou was a huge influence on me. She was a very dear family friend of ours. And she wrote most of her novels on a yellow pad with a number 2 pencil. And she would also write her gratitude lists when she felt down or she didn't feel right. And let me tell you, till the day she died, she talked about how she also had the imposter syndrome and felt janky sometimes. We all do. But she would write on that list all the things she was most grateful for. She was grateful for the pencil and grateful for the table that the pencil was on and the legs that walked over to get it. And by the time she finished her list, she was exhausted and she wasn't in that janky mood anymore. So I think that focusing on gratitude, don't look at what they took, look at all you got left, baby, and go within yourself. And most of the things that we do that we tap into that make us happy were things that made us happy as children. I think about, I talked so much as a kid. My dad would give me a tape recorder and a microphone and say, go in the room and tell the story to the microphone and then come out and you could play it after dinner for the whole family. And that's what I would do. And I think to this day, what do I do for a living? I go in a little room, I make up voices, I come out. It's very much the same thing and what makes me happy. Tap into the things that make you happy and the rest will come. And when the tough times come, it doesn't hurt as bad because you're still doing what makes you happy. You took the chance. So you made a strong choice for yourself. You have to do that. You really have to work to be happy. And that's what I say. But yeah.
I was going to say, once again, I got to hitchhike a little bit of what you said. Take these golden nuggets that you are dropping and just kind of repeat them, maybe not as poetically, but be grateful for the things you have. Don't live in the despair, the I don't have, this isn't working. Live in the I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I would also say, because I've known you've done this, bring your friends in, talk to people, ask for advice. I've got a question for you. What made you think you could write a romance novel?
Of all genres. Well, you know what, Dave? I I always had this story I wanted to tell. I grew up in North Carolina, and I grew up in the summertime on Topsail Island, and it's a beach area down in North Carolina, a little island about 26 miles long, a quarter of a mile wide. But my grandparents founded the first beachfront community there for Blacks. And so there was while it was supposed to be integrated in 1948, it was still very segregated, but the children would still play together. We'd hide to play with each other because we'd get in trouble playing with black and white. And I always dreamed, what would happen if skip to later, when laws had changed and attitudes had changed, if these two kids came back to the island, what would happen if they got a second chance at love? And so that was the story I wanted to tell, but I needed a front part of it. What could get this woman from being a news reporter in New York City down to this little island? And of course, it was an affair. Her husband has an affair. She finds his red hair on her husband's bed pillow. It's the third red hair she's found in their living in breeding spaces. And and this sends her down after she discovers the affair with her best friend. She goes down to North Carolina, get her head together, and meets this police chief who turns out to be the boy she was in love with. But anyway, Dr. Maya Angelou endorsed it. It's award-winning. It's coming out in audiobook. Go get it now. Destiny Lingers.
When's the movie? Destiny Lingers.
Well, listen, I'm working on the screenplay. I tell you, I'm still working on the screenplay. And now today, with all this streaming and stuff going on, there's more opportunities than ever. That's the other thing. Look around you and see how many new opportunities there are. There are a lot of things that we're going to be doing that haven't even been invented yet. Let this world settle down a little bit, you know?
We are living in such a do-it-yourself world now. And if something's not going your way, if they're not hiring you, if they're not giving you the positions you want, the jobs you want, create them. Mm-hmm. I think of Issa Rae and where she is now to where was she 5 years ago?
That's right. That's right.
And now multi-million dollar deal with Netflix. So much of this that we don't move to the things we want, the things we think we're envisioning ourselves to be, is because we're not really envisioning ourselves. We're not envisioning what the path is. We're not creating that path. And we have to get out of our ruts, look beyond what's right in front of us, and take advantage. This is one of the things I admire most about you, because I've seen you do this and this and this and this, and always with a smile.
Thank you, honey.
Marian Toro. Hey, Rolonda. I listened to your podcast, Rolonda On Demand. I greatly appreciate your words of wisdom and admire your POV and experiences in the entertainment industry.
Thank you.
You know what? I was mentioning last week, most of the good things that are going to happen to you in your life come from service. And when you're a news reporter, you wanted the great career, but you are bringing information to people. Mm-hmm. When you are putting yourself in a position of service, which you do, good things come. Oh, I forgot about your other career, comedian.
Yes.
So where are you performing next once we start performing?
Oh, gosh, let's hope I'm back at Caroline's on Broadway. Let's hope I'm back at the Laugh Factory and the Comedy Store, all the places I was performing. I had a show that I was to do mid-March at the Gotham in New York. And of course, COVID hit. We were going on tour. We were going to do the Cannabis Comedy Tour in April. And of course, everything got shut down. But I tell you, I've been working with some of the comedians that we get together on Clubhouse. We work out our material. COVID has certainly given great stuff for great writing for us comedians. So I can't wait to see what everybody's come up with. But we're starting to open up, and that's the good thing. I just talked to a friend of mine who said he performed in front of 175 people in New York the other night.
Which ordinarily you might not think of as a large crowd, but after COVID.
I know, but after COVID, it's like, oh my God, 60 people showed up. I'm happy. But I think we're getting back into it. And just even in comedy, we found new ways to put, where can we put our comedy? Can we put it into our podcast? Can we do some Instagram stuff? You know, we've had to be very creative with our art, more improvisation, more skits, as opposed to just stand-up comedy, but ways to keep the funny going, keep the laughter going.
The Instagram comedians have gotten very big. But one of the things I've noticed from talking to some of my comedian friends who actually been on the road for a while is those folks they aren't always able to maintain. It's one thing when I was on the radio, I was a morning guy, did a lot of jokes, and it's one thing to be in front of the microphone, you've conceived the joke, you've doing the bit, you've done it, and then you're out into the record or the commercial or whatever, and you're not concerned are people laughing or not. You're assuming they're laughing. But when you are live in front of somebody, in front of somebody's, you find out very quickly whether this is working or not working.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And now,
That's part of it. You just like in voice acting too. I mean, that's where improv comes in so handy. You've got to be able to switch it up, take adjustments right there live in real time.
and I've been to quite a few of your shows. And,
Yes, you have. You and Mo. Yes, you have. You were
and
supporters for sure.
absolutely. And it's always funny. And one of the things, and this cycles back to voiceover again, it cycles back to being yourself and you being the secret sauce in your career is your comedy is about your life, your point of view, your interaction with the world. I remember one joke you said, it was so you. You said, well, I've been, taking myself on vacation and buying myself the things I want and paying for my house so long, I've become the man I wanted to marry.
That's right. And listen, and after COVID, and I'm the only one I'm having sex with, I'm certain of that.
Well, you know what you like.
Listen, I said, you keep this up, I'm going to buy you a car when this thing is over. And some jewelry.
I had, let's see what this question. Just share this wonderful conversation on our Facebook page. May I have a shout out for our dear student listening to you on our campus radio page, Education FM 92.6 Pakistan. It will be highly appreciated. Wow.
Hi guys, shout out.
Shout out, absolutely. You've gone international.
All right, I love it. Love it, love it.
There you go. Let's see. Susan Bernard again with a comment. Thank you, Dave Fennoy, for some truly beautiful and inspiring messages. Well, I got to thank you for the beautiful and inspiring messages. Really, really needed this tonight. Well, you know what? She's really thanking me for having you on because you are just such an inspiring person.
Well, thank you very much. I hope so.
It's one of the things I love best about you. Van Rosebro, any advice on navigating the financial uncertainties that come with pivoting as you have over the years?
Well, you know what? That comes with it, honey, because when I made the decision to be an artist, I mean, those are you have your up years, you have your down years. And that just comes with it. I think that it's a hustle. It's the hustle and the grind and believing in yourself and making the adjustments that you have to make to live the life you want to live. Just
how do you motivate every morning? Because, my life has been like yours. You have ups and downs. Your career is sailing along, and then the economy crashes or a client goes out of business, and you're thrown into some turmoil. How do you talk to yourself to get yourself motivated every day? How do you get out of the funk when you're in the funk?
Well, you know what? First of all, I'm so glad I got up that morning. And I know that sounds very cliche, but trust and believe that is a blessing in itself. Because once you have your health, you can make anything. You can always make more money.
Yeah.
You can always make more money. You can look within yourself and find new gifts. I was talking with a friend of mine today who was just like, beside herself because her finances are janky, like so many people. And I said, look and see, is there something you can teach? What can you give? How can you help other people? And if you can find ways to help others in a way, good things will happen to you. I think also remembering that these moments are temporary and that they're here to teach you something. And that, you're going to have your ups and downs. If you live long enough, you're going to have to go through some stuff. Listen, in life, you're either in the middle of some stuff on your way into some stuff or just getting out of some stuff. That's just life.
That is just life. That is
That's
so
just
true.
life. And just, I think the thing is, just don't, I know it sounds hard to do, but just don't fall into that satanic path of doubt and worry and fear. Keep your faith strong and believe in yourself and know that this too shall pass. This stuff doesn't last forever. And yeah, things get tough and you might have to eat Vienna sausages and some white bread instead of going to Mastro's this month. But you know something, you're going to make it through because you got to get through it to get to it.
And then maybe you're not eating as much and you lose some weight and
Yeah, right. Maybe you turn vegetarian for a reason. But you have to make adjustments. And yeah, I mean, I'm not, the talk show life is very different than the voice actor and actor life and comedian life. But you cannot tell me I am not having fun and living a rich, full life because I'm doing what makes me happy.
yeah.
And I think that when you're doing that, listen, yeah, there's some rough days where you're doing 100 auditions and you haven't booked one. Yeah, there are times like that. The greatest in our business talk about that. Joe Cipriani talks about that all the time. That he does 100 auditions before he books one good promo, but he gets a good promo. I mean, it's worth.
That is
worth
something I mentioned a lot. If you're booking 20 and 100 auditions, you are killing the game.
You're killing it.
I've been approached by people from time to time who else? Oh, I got some audition. You audition every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I get my share. Our real job, I feel, is to audition.
No question.
When I'm on the job, it's, hey, I'm just having fun. Oh, this is going to be great here. But our job is to put in the best auditions, or I will tell my students there are no auditions, there are only performances. Send in the best performances. If it's a 30, bring it in at 29.5.
That's right.
If it's a 60, bring it in at 59 or 59.5. Few things are better in life than doing that audition. Your agent calls you up and says, oh, hey, you booked that thing. Oh, when's the session? Oh, they're just using your audition.
Yeah.
Love that when that happens.
Yeah. Or you do an audition, like I did an audition. I had, you have no idea what they're looking for. But I found this character in me that I hadn't found before. And I liked her. She's real gritty and deadpan. She sounds like she'd cut you at any time. And I said, I really loved what I did with that. So I felt really strong about it. Let's say I don't get the role. That's okay. I have a great character in me that I'm going to wait for that next time. And I know I did such a great job. I know they're going to look for something else for me.
And this happens to me in video games a lot. I audition for this role and get booked for another role in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's how you create characters.
Right. And I tell my students too that when you're not just auditioning for that role, you're auditioning to be on that list with that casting director. Yeah. So that every time they hear it, oh, let's get Rolonda in for that one. I bet Rolonda could stretch to that. Or and also, being, back in the days, and we're doing more of that going into the studios now, but it's also your personality. Are you somebody people like to work with? Are they going to call you again because they like you? There's a lot of that going on in our business too.
Bring a personality.
Right. And even they want to hear your personality. We don't slate as much anymore, but when we did, they want to hear that voice. They want to hear it. That's a little something in that I'm Rolonda Watts or something.
Yeah.
Every chance you get, you want to have your true self shine through.
Absolutely. Now you're doing some teaching now of VoiceOver, and you could probably be a life coach if you decided to, or are you doing that already?
Well, I do have my reinvention retreat, and I help people. Yeah, and we just help people who are, I was talking about reinvention long before COVID, and people were like, "What is Rolonda talking about? Rolonda's reinvention retreat?" And I was just helping people who wanted to do something different and try something new in their lives. And then COVID hit, and everybody was like, oh my God, now I get it. I totally understand the reinvention thing. So it's just we gather and we just, help people make the pivot and give you strength and talk about faith and combating fear and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I also teach my voice acting masterclass, which is going to start up on June 19th for the summer session. And it's a 6-week intensive class. We meet every Saturday for 2 hours.
Now, are you doing that online or are you
doing it online on Zoom? And I take a small class and we just learn how, we do an overview of the technology, a brief overview of that, but we really get right into breaking down those scripts and understanding acting. It's really a strong acting course, and understanding the business, how the business works, and how to market yourself when you don't have a agent, you don't have a manager. Okay, but the main thing I want them.
For those who aren't going to be able to take that class, just, you don't have to give me all the deep secrets, but share some of the secrets, some of the techniques that you are going to share in this master class.
Well, I believe, first of all, for acting, it's when you're breaking down a script, it's being able to read what the description is of that character and understand what that means. What does it mean when somebody's surly or wry, or how do you put your hands on your hips and raise your eyebrow with just your voice? Learning those types of things, learning how
your body informs your voice.
Yes, absolutely. And using your whole body and imagining not just the character, but imagining what they're wearing, or how, like I have a character in Madagascar. I know she has a cat. So I'm talking, oh, my sweetie, weedy, little boy, little stuff like that the animator is going to love drawing, that kind of stuff, as opposed to just, oh, my cat, Yeah, you can do fun things like that. So having the courage to really build out characters, understanding who your character is, who they're talking to, where they're coming from, where they're going, and learning how to understand what the casting director is looking for, the difference between what the clients are looking for. My client Google is looking for something very different than my client Wells Fargo. And how do you know what Nike's looking for? How do you sell a truck?
And let me ask you this. How do you know? What is it that you do that gives you an idea of what Google is looking for as opposed to something else? Oh, by the way, and I never do this, but I'm going to do it. Have you heard the Ford Mustang commercials for the electric Mustang?
Wait, is it the one with the lady singing?
No, it's.
Oh, that's my favorite commercial.
Oh,
the one
it's Idris Elba, who I love, but I think is totally wrong for an American car, especially the Mustang. It drives me nuts.
Oh, the Mustang, especially.
Idris Elba in his English accent doing the electric.
Well, unless there's so many Europeans now getting an American car. That could be probably what it was. You never
play
know.
it over there.
but you think about it, selling a car selling is such an intimate thing.
It is, but to me, the Mustang is such an American. Iconic. But anyway,
it's like him selling barbecue sauce. It's
yeah. You don't want anyone that speaks like this selling barbecue sauce.
I know.
It's the best barbecue sauce. I believe it comes from Mississippi or Alabama. Perhaps it's Kansas. I don't know.
Well, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee. But that's been. Thank you, because that's been plaguing me for about 2 weeks now since I first heard it. Anyway, back to all the positivity and the things. It's so funny. All the best voiceover teachers that I know, we're all teaching the same thing. Our language about it may be different, but it's all the same thing. And one of the reasons I ask you to do that is because somebody might not hear it from me, but hear it from you, the way you express it. Ding, a bell goes off. Bell goes off.
And I also, when I studied theater, I like the Meisner technique, Uta Hagen, people who were very much into tapping into the realities of life. I mean, there's so much richness right inside of us. And you know, actors are some of the nosiest people on earth. We're always
Yeah.
watching other people. So we're stealing stuff. Yeah, they're characters that I steal from an auntie of mine that I remember from Thanksgiving dinner who used to do some wacky stuff. I'll steal stuff from her, or just or somebody I'll see who just kind of does something weird, or I'll make up this imagination like they smoke, so they cough a little, and you know they have that laugh that's you know, one of those you know, so it's just building little things, little things, little things until it becomes unique and authentically you, finding pieces of yourself that you
you're
can bring to the
filtering this
character.
character through you,
Mm-hmm.
through your own essence. Uh, wow, wow, wow. I'm actually putting together. Right, I just did one this last weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend before, of script analysis. Because I find people are still doing the bullshit, 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 my line, bullshit, 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 my line, and not paying. And I ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Why is your character saying that? What's your character thinking as he's saying that? What's the relationship your character has with this person? What do they feel like? Block the scene out in your mind. And when I say block it, I'm not talking about, you're moving from here to here. Yes, that too.
Mm-hmm.
But is he sitting on the couch and leans back? Does he have a sip of tea? Is he writing a note while he's talking to somebody or listening to something? All those things. And the more you do that, which I know you do naturally because I've seen you do it, the more you do those things, the more you spend less time worrying about the words, but the words are enriched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you just like we tell so many of our students, we're not looking for readers in this
No,
industry.
no.
We're not looking for readers. We're looking for people who become that off the page.
Yeah.
To be as close as the real thing, just like you can use this audition. That's how close we are to what you're looking for. And yeah, I think that's also the fun of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's coming up with like that a character the other day I had. She's tough as nails. You know, everybody's intimidated by her, deadpan, dead mean, but has a heart. So where am I going to show the heart part in all of that? Where am I going to show the tough as nails? Where am I going to show the part where you think she would cut you? You know, and how's mean? Is mean like I'm going to get you, or is mean like I'm going to cut you today?
Yeah.
You know, so bringing those types of layers and choices in, you know,
Anger we don't play the words, we play the character. Anger doesn't have to
right.
be loud.
Mm-hmm.
Tears don't have to be sad. Laughter doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be joyful. We play the character. How one character is going to say the exact same thing is going to be really different based on who they are, their worldview, and so forth. Let me get a couple of comments here. Jeffrey Oliver, as an actor and writer, do you tap into similar artistic mindsets when doing both?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they come into play. There's no question that that my sensibilities as an actor certainly helped me in my writing for building characters as well. Especially as we always say that thing, what is their motivation? But if you know that they've never had a dime to their name and they were teased for wearing tattered clothes, then you can understand why she's a little pretentious and mean to people.
After she won the lottery.
After she won the lottery, right? Yeah, but you know.
One more. J. Horace Black, yes, and okay. This was concerning my thing about the Ford commercials. Yes, and NBA TV shoots suits he is in doing now. Okay, doesn't fit either. I think that was not a type. There are no typos anymore. There's autocorrect that makes what you're saying ridiculous.
I know.
I'm so sick of autocorrect. Don't help me. Autocorrect, don't help
I know,
me. Some things
sometimes
help me with, don't help me, autocorrect.
I know some of the things they come up with. I'm like, are you messing with me? Did you just do that just to mess with me?
And sometimes they do. So listen,
Yeah.
how can people get in touch with you? Are there still openings for this class you're about to do?
Yes, but come in soon because we fill up really quickly. Only 12 students I take. And we start on June 19th. You can go to rolonda.com, ROLONDA.com, and find out all the specifics about the class. And you can set up a discovery call and you can call me. And I just say this, I have this saying, all roads lead to Rome. And people are starting to say all roads lead to Rome. But Rome is education. And whether it's my class, Dave's class, there are tons of us out here who are teaching classes and good classes. Take a class from somebody, a workshop from somebody, take a coaching from somebody, an improv class. If you're already a voice acting student, take an acting course, take a writing course, take a stand-up comedy course, take an improv course. Constantly doing things that are going to help you build character, confidence in using your voice, stretching out that imagination and putting it to test. Don't play peekaboo with your talent. Don't be the best kept secret on the earth. You got to be someplace where you can let it out and try it out, and then we can know, let somebody hear you. So get yourself in a class, and I would love to have you in mind. So go on to rolonda.com and you can find me. Yeah.
And I know there's some people who go, wait a minute, well, how come, you're promoting her class? Don't you teach? Well, sure I do, but just like you say, that's not how this business is. I had a student today who two of the people he's working with as teachers both recommended me to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I do the same thing, oh, hey, you might want to talk to so-and-so. You might want to talk to oh, you want another perspective? Oh, you want to work on that? Talk to this person.
Yeah, we do that a lot in the business. I find. Yeah. I find that if and I've called you and I said, listen, I've got a student who's really showing some strength in video games. I'm going to send him to you. Or I talk about you all the time in the course. And also, on Clubhouse, that's another wonderful place to connect with the voiceover community. Rick Party and I are always tossing students back and forth to each other. Yeah. And we support each other that way. Tasia's over there, Erica, everybody's teaching a class. And when you finish one class, maybe you want to take another one from another person. But find out who you connect with.
And you should. Mm-hmm. And you should. There comes a point where it's time to step off into the unknown of the working world from taking classes. But even then, you're going to want to return to taking some classes when you want to work on a new genre, when you want to get out of maybe a bad habit that you have. And I don't think any of us, when I say any of us, I mean people who have been in this business making livings at it for a long time, are above stepping back and retooling a little bit in a class from somebody whose ears and mind we trust.
Yeah. I can remember times when I was like, if I do another audition and do not get a job, I'm going to jump out of this window. I mean, just getting really a janky attitude. And I don't have a bad attitude. I try not to do that.
Thank God thank God your house is one story. You can jump out that window and be okay.
Jump out the window, I might survive. But I'm like, I was just turning into a bad attitude. And I just took another course. I just went and took a Carol Kimball. I went over to her and took a course, worked on a new demo reel, just something so that I could just get a whole new perspective, a fresh brain attitude, a new approach on the topic, because I love this business and I don't ever want to leave it. I think if people say, well, what happens to people who don't make it in the business? They give up. And it's tough. This is not an easy road. It really isn't. You have to remember why in the world you're doing it, and you have to just keep showing up and understanding, just like you said, Dave, auditioning is the work, and make those characters the best every time you get behind the microphone, and use those as an opportunity to, look, I get to be creative 5 times today.
Yeah.
I get to be 5 different people today,
Absolutely.
If you're lucky, if you're getting that many auditions, you're pretty lucky.
Knock on wood.
I know.
Well, listen, my friend, Miss Rolonda Watts, love you madly, kiddo.
Back at you. And Dave, do you remember that time I asked you about 25 years ago, can you really make a living doing this?
I do.
I was just starting and you were my mentor, and I was like, and you gave me the thumbs up, you can do this. And I just kept walking the ball over the net. And that's what you do. You
and
just
and you're
keep
and
showing
you're
up at the
killing the
mic.
game as. And one of the things about this, and I'm going to let you go. I said 7 o'clock. It's 6:59. Uh, but one of the things about this business in voiceover, it can encompass other things besides strictly voiceover. There are so many different places with so many genres within the umbrella of voiceover that you can make a living. And I found for me, uh, doing a number of those genres has paid off. TV promos, great. Commercials, great. Cartoons, video games, great. Some narration, great. I don't really want to do audiobooks.
I
I
did
don't
my
have
own.
to.
I did my own, and that it was something. I mean,
Yeah.
it was something. But this is audiobook month, by the way, people.
Ah,
So
wait a
get
minute.
you a
Wait a
good
minute.
audiobook, support a
I
good
thought this was
author.
Pride Month.
And that too is
It's
a
also
month for
Black
everything.
Music Month. We're
There
going to have
you
to come up
go.
with some more months here. We got to spread this stuff out.
Spread the love. Spread the
Spread the love.
love.
Well, listen, my
Yes.
dear, we've got to get together before too long. Haven't seen you since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
Let's break bread, you and I and Mo and whoever it is you're dating at that particular time.
I'm much better at writing romance.
Than being, yeah. And that's going in your act.
Right. And that'll be part of my act too.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to let you go. Once again, keep
Okay.
doing
Come
your
here,
thing.
Langston. Say goodbye.
Oh, Langston.
Langston.
Look,
Say
I was
goodbye,
asleep.
Langston. He sure was. He wants his walk.
Oh, yeah. Well, give him that walk.
That's
And
right.
thank you so much for spending some time and sharing your wisdom and your energy. I know from the comments, I didn't put them all up, but I know from the comments how inspiring you have been today. And, when you're looking that good, it's making me look good too.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dave. And you tell Mo I said, hey, and I'm going to see you guys soon. This was so much fun. And y'all, if you just hang in there and believe in yourself, you can do it. You
That's
can
right.
do it. I tell you, we are proof of the truth that you can do it. You can do
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, I will see you soon. And everybody out there, once again, next week, Ann Ganguza, Melissa Moats on the 16th, Cliff Zellman on the 23rd, Karen Griffey on the 30th. So this lives, of course, on, wrong page here. There we go. This lives at Dave Fennoy VoiceOver Training on YouTube. Interested in voiceover classes with me, davefennoy.com. And in the meantime, and in between time, as we used to say on the radio on some television shows, go out and book something. See ya.